The alien princess is sick, and they have to call the Earth Doctor. In the shadowed heart of the Valora Empire, a princess's veins ignited with a forbidden glow, pulsing like stars trapped beneath her skin. No healer in 12-star systems could name the curse that twisted royalty into fragility, but it whispered of secrets buried deeper than empires. Princess Selene staggered through the grand hall of Lumen Palace. Her gown of silver thread caught the light from walls embedded with photon crystals. Those crystals hummed softly, casting eternal day across marble floors veined in gold. She clutched her throat. Pain lanced through her chest. Servants froze mid-step, their eyes wide. On dropped a tray of crystal goblets. They shattered in a cascade of chimes. Selene collapsed to her knees. Her skin drained to porcelain pale. Faint blue lines traced her arms, glowing brighter with each ragged breath. Gasps rippled through the court. Nobles in high-collared robes stepped back as if the light might burn. Emperor Darien rose from his throne at the hall's end. Tall and unyielding, his frame wrapped in black velvet embroidered with the empire's crest. A coiled serpent of stars. His face, sharp as forged alloy, betrayed no fear, only calculation. He waved a hand. Guards in polished armor snapped to attention, their plasma lances humming low. "Secure the princess," Darien commanded. His voice cut clean like a blade through silk. "Summon the healers, all of them." The court buzzed. Whispers slithered among the advisors, their faces painted with ritual inks that shifted colors in the crystal light. Selene's personal guard lifted her gently. She fought the haze, her dark hair spilling like midnight over their arms. Green eyes, sharp even in agony, locked on her father. "Father," she rasped, "this is no fever, it's changing me." Darien's jaw tightened. Tradition bound him like chains. Valora's medicine relied on ancient rites and crystal-infused elixirs, not the crude sciences of lesser worlds. Yet her glow mocked them all. He turned to his chief advisor, a stooped figure with eyes like polished obsidian. "Lord Varen," Darien said, "our ways fail. What of the outer realms?" Varen bowed low. His robes whispered against the floor. "Sire, the humans from Earth. Their geneticists tamper with life itself. Primitive, yes, but persistent." Darien paused. The weight of the Empire pressed on him. 12-star systems bowed to Valora's might, fleets of 1,000 cruisers enforcing peace through plasma fire and unyielding law. To call on aliens? It cracked the facade. But Selene's light flickered, dimming her fight. "Send the summons," he said at last. "Elias Mar, the one who mended the Orion colony's plague. Bring him, quickly." Across the void on a blue marble called Earth, Elias Mar packed his kit in a cramped lab overlooking Chicago's sprawl. Mid-30s with close-cropped brown hair dusted gray at the temples, and a jaw shadowed by perpetual stubble. His hands, calloused from years of splicing genes under microscopes, moved with quiet precision. Blue eyes keen behind wire frames, scanned readouts one last time. A geneticist by trade, Elias chased anomalies that others ignored. Earth's medicine had tamed cancers and viruses, but the stars? They hid puzzles that bent reality. He slung his satchel over a lean shoulder, the fabric worn from too many off-world jaunts. A simple tunic and trousers suited him, practical amid the chaos of alien courts. The comm buzzed. "Dr. Mar, shuttle prepped. Valora's urgent. Princess is dying." Elias nodded to the empty room. Doubt flickered, but he crushed it. Humanity's edge lay in questions, not certainties. The hyperspace shuttle tore through the black. 3 light years in 12 hours, its engines whining against the warp field strain. Elias gripped the armrests as stars blurred into streaks. Earth faded behind, a fragile beacon. Valora loomed ahead, its core world a jewel of spires and shields. Lumen Palace greeted him like a living star. The shuttle docked at a crystal spire, airlocks hissing open to corridors bathed in perpetual glow. Photon crystals lined the walls, each fist-sized gem pulsing with captured sunlight, harvested from distant suns. The light danced warm on Elias's skin, but shadows clung to corners, hinting at vaults unseen. An escort of guards flanked him. Their armor gleamed, segmented plates over iridescent scales that marked true Valorans, tall and lithe with skin like polished bronze. Elias towered a head shorter, his human bulk feeling squat beside them. They led him through arches carved with serpentine motifs, the air thick with ozone and faint incense. The palace thrummed with hidden power. Elias's boot echoed on floors that shifted hue underfoot, responding to unseen sensors. Beauty mask control. He wondered at the cost. The labor of 1 trillion souls across colonies funneled into this splendor. They reached the medical wing. Sterile chambers hummed with diagnostic orbs floating like fireflies. Valoran doctors clustered around a bed, their robes stained with luminescent fluids. Celine lay there, her glow subdued but persistent, veins tracing rivers of blue fire across her arms. Elias approached. The lead doctor, a wiry female with silver braids, shot him a glare. "Human, your tools are relics. See the markers. Unchartable." He ignored her, pulling blood samples from a chilled vial. His portable sequencer whirred to life, a handheld slab of earth alloy etched with circuits. It hummed, analyzing strands in seconds what their orbs took hours to parse. The results scrolled. Abnormal DNA markers twisted like knots in a rope. Not infection, not poison. Something engineered, dormant until now. Valoran tech baffled at the edges, their crystals attuned to energy, not the raw code of life. Elias glanced up. The court pressed in, a sea of dismissive stares. Advisors in towering headdresses murmured. "Primitive methods," one sneered, his voice a silken drawl. "Earth's fumbling cannot touch Valora's grace." The hierarchy pressed like gravity, nobles above, servants below, all orbiting Darion's unyielding core. Elias felt the weight. Humans meddled where stars feared to tread. But here, he was the intruder, his sequencer a toy amid their grandeur. Celine stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, locking on him. Weak, yes, but fire simmered there. She pushed up on her elbows, ignoring the doctor's protest. "Father refuses the new ways. Crystals and chants. They blind him to the truth." Her voice, soft as a crystal chime, carried steel, defiance and frailty. Elias met her gaze. In that moment he saw the empire's fracture, tradition cracking under its own weight. Silence fell. The doctors exchanged glances. Elias's mind raced. Could he, an outsider with blunt tools, unravel what their vast machines could not? Doubt gnawed, a cold knot in his gut. Earth's ingenuity had bridged plagues and voids before, but this glow, it sang of secrets older than stars. Guards shifted at the doors, their lances tilted just so, eyes tracking Elias's every twitch. The Emperor's shadow loomed, even absent. Whispers of tension laced the air, political currents swirling beneath the calm. Valora's peace rested on blades, fleets poised in orbit, ready to enforce the old order. Elias pocketed his sequencer. He needed more data, more time, but time bled from Celine's veins. A soft chime broke the hush. His wrist comm vibrated, an encrypted pulse from an unknown source. Words scrolled in stark text. "The cure lies beneath the palace." Elias's pulse quickened. He glanced around. No eyes on him. The message vanished, leaving only questions. Beneath? In the light's heart, shadows hid truths that could topple thrones. Celine watched him, her glow steadying for a breath. "What now, doctor?" He forced a nod. "We dig deeper." The court murmured on, but Elias felt the pull. Valora's secrets stirred and humanity's hand reached for them. Elias slipped through the shadowed corridors of Lumen Palace, his boots silent on the glowing marble. The photon crystals dimmed in the late hour, their pulses sluggish, as if the palace itself slept. His sequencer hummed in his satchel, data burning with questions no Valoran dared ask. Celine's glowing veins haunted him, a puzzle etched in light and blood. The medical archive loomed ahead, a vaulted chamber sealed by a door of shimmering alloy. Two AI sentinels hovered at its entrance, their spherical forms bristling with sensors. Red optics scanned the air, quantum encryption locking their protocols tighter than a neutron star. Elias's wristcom pinged softly, displaying a hacked access code from the cryptic message. He whispered a command, and the sentinels froze, their lights flickering to green. Inside, the archive hummed with databanks, crystalline drives glowing like miniature suns. Elias's fingers danced over a console, pulling records from 2 centuries past. Lines of text materialized, holographic and sharp. Project Genesis, Royal Bloodline Enhancement, year 372 of the Valoran era. His pulse quickened. The royal family had tampered with their own DNA, seeking resilience against cosmic plagues. Fools. They'd woven a flaw into their genes instead. Celine's symptoms scrolled in his mind. Fever spiking at 104 degrees, veins glowing with bioluminescent markers, her cells unraveling like frayed thread. The archive's logs matched her to an ancient test subject, a prince who'd burned out in days. Veins alight before death. Elias's sequencer confirmed it. The mutation was no accident. It was engineered, buried deep in royal blood. He pulled his handheld device, its earth-forged circuits whirring. Valoran orbs floated nearby, their scans sluggish, blind to the genetic knots his tech untangled. The mutation twisted codons in ways Valora's crystal-based diagnostics couldn't parse. Earth's blunt tools, mocked as primitive, saw what their elegance missed. Lord Varen's voice cut the silence. Human, you trespass. The chief scientist stood in the doorway, his bronze skin gleaming under crystal light, his robes heavy with silver thread. His eyes narrowed, but fear flickered beneath the scorn. Your toys insult our science. Elias met his gaze. Your science is killing her. He tapped the sequencer, data glowing. This mutation's old. You knew. Varen stiffened. His fingers twitched, as if to summon guards. Leave the past buried, Doctor. For your sake. The air tightened. Elias's neural implant, a sliver of Earth tech buried in his cortex, pinged. He'd backed up the data there, safe from prying hands. Varen's fear meant truth. Celine's illness threatened more than her life. It threatened the Empire's foundation. In her chamber, Celine lay propped on pillows, her glow faint but unyielding. She pushed aside a healer's elixir, her voice sharp despite weakness. They cling to tradition like drowning men to wreckage. Elias, this empire chokes on its own pride. He nodded, her words sparking something in him. Sympathy, yes, but also resolve. She saw the rot he was beginning to uncover. Her defiance, even bedridden, was a blade against the Empire's heart. Midnight brought danger. Cloaked figures breached the archive, their forms shrouded in light-bending fields. Elias ducked behind a databank as their plasma cutters hissed, slicing for his sequencer. He activated his implant, encrypting the data with a fractal key. The intruders cursed softly, their tech no match for his. They fled as alarms wailed, leaving only scorched air. Elias's breath steadied. His mind churned. The attack wasn't random. Someone wanted the truth silenced. His thoughts hardened, doubt giving way to clarity. He'd come to save a princess, but now he chased a secret that could burn Valora to ash. Celine's comm crackled through his earpiece. Elias, there's a lab. Beneath the palace. Sealed since the Empire began. Her voice trembled, not with fear but suspicion. My father, he knows something. He gripped his satchel. The message from before echoed. The cure lies beneath. I'm going, he said. Her chamber was a fortress of light, but shadows clung to her words. Be careful. They'll kill to keep this hidden. Elias slipped out, the archive's glow fading behind him. The palace's lower levels beckoned. where photon crystals grew sparse and air turned cold. He found a maintenance hatch behind a flickering wall panel, its crystal dim as if starved. The hatch creaked open, revealing a spiral stair descending into the dark. His sequencer's light cast jagged beams. Dust coated the steps, undisturbed for centuries. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of metal and decay. At the stair's base, a sealed door loomed, etched with the same serpent crest as Darian's robes. Elias's wristcom pulsed, the hacked code still active. The door groaned open. The underground lab sprawled before him, a cavern of ancient tech. Bioreactors lined the walls, their glass chambers clouded but faintly aglow. Elias's sequencer hummed, detecting residual genetic material. This was no hospital. It was a forge for life itself, built to rewrite Valora's rulers. Holographic logs flickered to life as he approached a console. A robed figure, voice distorted by time, spoke of Project Genesis. To make the royal line unyielding, it said, to outlast stars. But the logs glitched, revealing failures. Subjects burned out, their genes collapsing under forced evolution. Selene's glow was their legacy, a flaw waking after 300 years. Elias's chest tightened. The Empire's strength was a lie, built on a gamble that broke its heirs. He moved deeper, finding a sealed vial in a cryo unit. It glowed, blue and pulsing, like Selene's veins. The original serum, the key to her cure, and the Empire's shame. Alarms screeched. Laser grids snapped on, red beams crisscrossing the lab. Drones whirred from alcoves, their optics locking on him. Elias's fingers flew over his wristcom, uploading a virus from Earth's black market coders. The grids flickered. Drones froze mid-flight, crashing in sparks. He grabbed the vial and sprinted for the exit. The tunnel shook, supports groaning as a collapse protocol triggered. Dust choked the air. Elias dove through the closing door, the vial clutched tight. His heart pounded, but his mind was alight. The truth was his now. From Lord Varen's chamber, the scientist watched a hollow feed, his hands shaking. Elias's breach threatened everything. Tradition held Valora together. This human's truth could unravel it. Varen sent a coded order to the guards. Find the doctor, silence him. Selene's comm buzzed again. I'm in, Elias whispered. It's worse than we thought. Her voice hardened. Then we fight. For the truth. Elias emerged into the palace's lower halls, the vial cold against his palm. Guards' boots echoed nearby. He activated his cloaking device, a low-frequency hum bending light around him. The Empire's eyes were everywhere, but humanity's tricks were sharp. His thoughts burned with purpose. The lab's secrets weren't just Selene's cure, they were a weapon. Valora's traditions had bred this sickness, and he'd tear them down to save her. Elias crouched in the maintenance shaft, the vial of glowing serum pressed against his chest. The palace's lower levels thrummed with distant machinery, photon crystals flickering like dying stars. His cloaking device hummed softly, bending light to shield him from patrolling guards. Their plasma lances cast sharp beams across the corridor, searching for the human who dared breach Valora's secrets. He slipped through a hidden panel behind a photon crystal wall, its surface cool and pulsing. The passage beyond was narrow, carved from raw stone, unlike the polished grandeur above. His sequencer's faint glow lit the way, revealing dust undisturbed for centuries. Each step echoed his pulse, quick and steady. The Empire's heart hid here, and he was tearing it open. The tunnel opened into a vast underground lab, its air thick with the tang of ozone and decay. Bioreactors loomed along the walls, their glass chambers clouded but faintly luminescent, like Selene's veins. Consoles of black alloy stood dormant, their surfaces etched with serpentine crests. Elias's sequencer pinged, detecting genetic traces in the air, remnants of experiments long abandoned. He approached a central console. It flickered to life, holograms sparking in the gloom. A robed figure materialized, its voice crackling through time. Project Genesis, initiated to forge an unbreakable royal line. Resilience beyond mortality. The log glitched, revealing the truth. The experiment failed. Subjects burned out, their DNA collapsing under forced mutations. Celine's glow was no curse. It was a legacy, dormant for 300 years, now waking to claim her. Elias's fingers tightened on the vial. The serum inside pulsed, a blue heartbeat. It was the original catalyst, the key to both her illness and her cure. He scanned it with his sequencer, its Earth circuits humming where Valorantech faltered. The data confirmed the mutation's artificial origin, a reckless bid for godhood that broke the royal bloodline. Red light flashed. Laser grids snapped across the lab, beams slicing the air inches from his skin. Drones whirred from alcoves, their optics locking on him with mechanical precision. Elias dove behind a reactor, his wristcom already uploading a countermeasure. Earth's black market codes surged through the lab systems, frying the drone's circuits. They crashed in showers of sparks, metal husks clattering to the floor. The grids pulsed, erratic but deadly. Elias's cloaking device flickered under the strain. He crawled to a control panel, fingers flying over alien keys. His virus spread, rewriting the grid's protocols. The beams sputtered out, leaving silence. Sweat beaded his brow. The lab's defenses were ancient but brutal, built to guard secrets worth killing for. He moved deeper, finding a cryo unit buried in shadow. Inside, more vials glowed, each a piece of Valora's shame. He pocketed a second sample, insurance against loss. The lab shook, a low rumble signaling collapsed protocols. Dust rained from the ceiling. Elias sprinted for the exit, boots pounding stone as tunnels groaned behind him. He burst through the door, collapsing against the stairwell. The vial pulsed in his hand, safe. His breath steadied, but his mind raced. The Empire's founders had played gods and failed. Celine paid the price, and Darian hid it to cling to power. Elias's doubt burned away, replaced by fire. He'd save her and expose the lie. In Lumen Palace, Lord Varen stood in his private chamber, a holofeed glowing before him. His bronze skin gleamed under crystal light, but his hands trembled. The human had breached the lab. Varen's loyalty to tradition warred with fear. Genesis was the Empire's cornerstone, its perfection a myth that held 12-star systems in line. If Elias exposed it, Valora would fracture. He sent a coded order: eliminate the intruder, protect the throne. Celine's calm crackled in Elias's ear. "You're alive," she said, her voice weak but sharp. "What did you find?" He clutched the vial, climbing the spiral stairs. "Your illness, it's no accident. Your ancestors engineered it, a failed experiment." Her breath caught, audible through the static. "My father, he knew." "Suspected, at least," Elias said. "The lab's sealed for a reason." Silence lingered, then still in her voice. "I'll face him. This ends." Elias emerged into the palace's lower halls, the air cooler, crystals brighter. Guards' boots echoed nearby, their lances humming. He reactivated his cloaking device, its low-frequency field bending light. The serum weighed heavily in his satchel, a truth that could topple an empire. He moved swiftly, dodging patrols, his mind alight with the lab's revelations. From Varen's chamber, the scientist watched the hollow feed flicker. Guards swept the lower levels, but the human was a ghost. Varen's fingers twitched, itching to crush this threat himself. Tradition was Valora's shield. Change was chaos. He activated a secure line to Darian. "Sire, the human knows too much. Genesis is exposed." Darian's voice was ice. "Then bury it, and him." Elias reached a service lift, its doors hidden behind a tapestry of starfields. He slipped inside, the lift humming upward. His thoughts churned. The lab wasn't just a relic. It was a weapon, its secrets locked in Celine's blood. Saving her meant more than a cure. It meant shattering the Empire's lies. Celine lay in her chamber, her glow dim but steady. She pushed off her bed, ignoring the healer's protests. Her gown clung to her frame, silver threads catching the light. She moved to a console, fingers trembling as she accessed a secure comm. "Elias, I'm telling the court. They need the truth." He hesitated, the lift slowing. "You're not strong enough yet." "I'm strong enough to fight," she snapped. "For Valora." Elias's resolve hardened. Humanity's edge was its refusal to bow. He'd seen it on Earth, in labs where hope outran despair. Now he'd bring it to Valora. The lift doors opened to a quiet corridor, but danger pulsed in the air. Guards were closing in, their scanners sweeping for his cloaking field. He slipped into a storage room, its shelves lined with medical supplies. His sequencer hummed, analyzing the serum further. Its structure was complex, a lattice of artificial codons designed to enhance but doomed to collapse. Celine's survival hinged on unraveling it, and fast. A guard's voice echoed outside. "Check every room. The Emperor's orders." Elias's hand tightened on the vial. The lab had shown him Valora's corruption, its rulers willing to sacrifice their own for power. He wasn't just a doctor now, he was a spark in a powder keg. Celine's defiance was the flame. He whispered into the comm. "Celine, I've got the serum. I can start the cure. But we're running out of time." Her voice crackled back, fierce despite her frailty. "Then hurry, Elias. We'll burn this lie to the ground." The storage room's door rattled. Elias crouched, cloaking device humming at its limit. His thoughts burned with purpose. The Empire's secrets were his weapon now, and he'd wield them to save a princess and break a throne. The storage room's door hissed open, and Elias pressed himself against a shelf, his cloaking device humming low. Two Valoran guards swept their plasma lances across the dim space, their bronze skin catching the faint glow of photon crystals embedded in the walls. The air crackled with ozone, the lance's tips pulsing with restrained energy. Elias held his breath, the serum vial cold against his chest. His wrist comm vibrated softly, Celine's voice a whisper. "They're hunting you. Move." He slipped past the guards, the cloaking field bending light around him like a ripple in water. The palace's lower halls were a maze of polished stone and crystal veins, each corner sharp with danger. Emperor Darian's orders had unleashed chaos. If 50 elite guards scoured the corridors, their scanners sweeping for the human who'd unearthed Genesis. Elias's sequencer, tucked in his satchel, held data that could unravel an empire, and they knew it. In the throne room, Darian stood rigid, his black velvet robes absorbing the crystal light. His advisors clustered like vultures, their murmurs a low hum of fear. Lord Varen stepped forward, his voice smooth but edged. "The human threatens our foundation, sire. Genesis must remain buried. Tradition holds us." Darian's eyes narrowed. "Then bury him." His command was steel, forged in centuries of unchallenged rule. Valora's 12-star systems bowed to his will, fleets of 1,000 cruisers enforcing it. A single human wouldn't break that, not on his watch. Elias ducked into a service passage, its walls damp and unlit, a stark contrast to the palace's grandeur. His cloaking device flickered, its battery draining. He needed a haven to work, to decode the serum structure fully. The vial pulsed faintly, a reminder of Celine's fading time. His sequencer had mapped the mutation's core, a lattice of artificial codons, designed to strengthen but now tearing her apart. He could synthesize a cure, but not while running. Celine's chamber was a fortress of light and vigilance. She sat upright, her glow dim but defiant, silver gown clinging to her frail frame. Her fingers danced over a console, hacking the palace's surveillance with codes smuggled by loyal maids. Cameras blinked offline, giving Elias a fleeting window. "I've blinded them," she whispered through the comm. "Head to the gardens. My maids will meet you." Elias moved swiftly, emerging into the palace gardens. Bioluminescent vines curled around crystal spires, casting a soft glow over paths of crushed quartz. The air smelled of alien blooms, sharp and sweet. He crouched behind a shimmering fern as two guards passed, their lances humming. His cloaking device sputtered, its field wavering. Time was bleeding out. A maid appeared, her bronze skin marked with servant's ink, eyes sharp with purpose. She pressed a satchel of supplies into his hands. Nanite injectors, a portable synthesizer, and power cells. "The princess trusts you," she whispered. "So do we." Elias nodded, catching the undercurrent of dissent. The palace wasn't a monolith. Cracks were forming, and Celine was the wedge. He found a hidden alcove, its walls draped in vines that dulled scanner signals. His synthesizer hummed a life, a compact Earth device no larger than a book. The serum's data scrolled across its screen, confirming the mutation's origin. It wasn't just Celine. Others in the royal line had suffered, their deaths masked as accidents. Darian's silence was complicity, preserving power over truth. Footsteps crunched nearby. Elias froze. Two guards swept the gardens, their scanners whining. He pulled a sonic pulse emitter from his satchel, a non-lethal Earth trick. A flick of the switch sent a low-frequency wave rippling out. The guards staggered, clutching their helmets, disoriented. Elias slipped away, their groans fading behind him. Celine's voice crackled through the comm. "They're closing in, Elias. My father denounced you publicly. Traitor, he called you." Her tone wavered, fear laced with pride. "I'm scared I won't make it, but I won't bow to him." Elias's jaw tightened. Her defiance fueled him. "You'll live," he said. "I'm close to a cure." He reached a servant's quarters, its door unmarked, its interior cramped with crates and dim crystals. Safe for now. He set up the synthesizer, feeding it the serum's data. The machine whirred, assembling molecules with precision Valoran tech couldn't match. Earth bluntness was its strength, practical, not elegant. From Varen's perspective, the palace was a fortress under siege. In his chamber, he watched hollow feeds of guards sweeping empty halls. The human was a ghost, slipping through cracks in Valora's order. Varen's loyalty to tradition burned, but doubt crept in. Genesis was a lie, and Elias's truth could shatter the Empire's unity. He gripped his console, torn between duty and fear of collapse. Elias tried signaling Earth for backup, a desperate plea for a medical team. His comm buzzed, then died. Valoran countermeasures jammed the frequency, a blanket of static cutting him off. He was alone, a human in a star empire's heart. With only his wits and a flickering cloaking device, Celine's maids whispered of rebellion. Dissent simmered in the lower ranks, servants and technicians weary of Darian's iron grip. Elias saw it in their eyes, hope sparked by a princess who dared defy. He worked faster, the synthesizer humming as it built the antidote's framework. It was crude, untested, but it was her only chance. In the throne room, Darian addressed the court via holobroadcasts, his voice booming across Valora's systems. "The human seeks to poison our legacy. He is a traitor, a blight on our empire." Nobles nodded, their loyalty bought by fear, but whispers of doubt spread. Celine's glow, her defiance, lingered in their minds. Elias's thoughts churned as the synthesizer beeped, signaling progress. Humanity's strength was its stubbornness, its refusal to accept the impossible. He'd seen it in labs, in wars, in colonies clawing life from dead worlds. Now he'd bring it to Valora. The antidote took shape, a clear fluid shimmering in a vial. Guards' boots echoed closer. Ilyas packed his gear, cloaking device at its limit. He slipped into the corridor, the antidote secure. Celine's life hung on his next balance, but so did the Empire's future. Her defiance was a spark. His truth was the flame. He whispered into the calm. Celine, I've got the antidote. Where are you? Her voice crackled, fierce. The court. I'm done hiding. Meet me there. Elias moved, the palace alive with danger. Guards swept every hall, their scanners narrowing his path. The synthesizer hummed in his satchel, a beacon of hope. Valora's traditions were a cage, and he held the key to break it. Elias sprinted through the palace's shadowed corridors, the antidote vial secure in his satchel. Photon crystals flickered above, casting erratic pulses of light as if sensing the storm brewing within Lumen Palace. His cloaking device sputtered, its field barely holding against the guard's scanners. The air crackled with tension, the Empire's order teetering on a knife's edge. Celine's voice echoed in his earpiece, sharp and unbroken. I'm in the Grand Hall. Hurry, Elias. The Grand Hall loomed ahead, its arched doors carved with serpentine crests. Celine stood at its center, her silver gown catching the crystal light, her veins glowing faintly but fiercely. She faced the court, nobles arrayed in tiered balconies, their faces a mix of awe and unease. Her voice rang out, cutting through their murmurs. My illness is no curse. It's a lie, woven by our ancestors. Project Genesis poisoned our blood. Murmurs erupted. Half the court leaned forward, drawn to her fire. The other half recoiled, clinging to Darian's rigid traditions. Lord Varen stood among the loyalists, his bronze skin taut with fury. Treason, he spat. You defile Valora's legacy. Celine's eyes blazed. The legacy kills us. I'll tear it down. Elias slipped into a servant's quarters, a cramped room stacked with crates and dim crystals. His synthesizer hummed, finalizing the antidote. The machine, a slab of earth alloy, pieced together molecules with brutal efficiency, outpacing valor and elegance. The antidote glowed softly, a clear fluid in a syringe, ready to stabilize Celine's collapsing genes. He pocketed it, his pulse steady despite the chaos. Humanity's edge was in doing, not debating. Outside, rebellion stirred. 200 palace workers, technicians, maids, and low-born guards rallied to Celine's call. They emerged from service corridors armed with scavenged plasma rifles and kinetic shields, their bronze faces set with grim resolve. Their leader, a wiry technician named Silas, barked orders, her voice clipped. Form ranks, protect the princess. From a loyalist guard's perspective, doubt gnawed. Captain Torin gripped his lance, stationed at the hall's edge. He'd sworn to Darian, to tradition, but Celine's words cut deep. Fighting his own princess felt wrong, her glow a beacon of truth he couldn't unsee. His squad shifted uneasily, their shields humming, absorbing 80% of plasma impacts in training. Would they hold against their own? Celine marched toward the throne room, her steps steady despite her frailty. Her glowing veins pulsed brighter, a symbol of defiance. The crowd parted, some cheering, others hissing. She clutched a ceremonial dagger, its blade etched with stars, a relic of Valora's founding. The throne hides lies, she declared. I'll face my father. Elias moved to join her, navigating a gauntlet of automated turrets in the outer halls. Their optics swiveled, tracking heat and motion. He tossed a sonic pulse emitter, its waves scrambling their sensors. Sparks flew as turrets froze, their barrels smoking. He sprinted past, the antidote secure, his thoughts alight with purpose. Humanity's ingenuity was his weapon, and Celine's life was the prize. In the throne room, Darian deployed a sonic disruptor, a hulking device pulsing with low-frequency waves. It hummed to life, rippling through the air. Rebels staggered, clutching their ears as nausea hit. Celine stood firm, her glow flaring as if her mutation shielded her. She raised her dagger, voice unwavering. "Your lies end today, Father." Elias reached the hall's edge, cloaking device dead, his silhouette exposed. He dodged a guard's lance, its plasma bolt searing the wall. The antidote syringe gleamed in his hand. He pushed through the crowd, rebels parting for him. Celine saw him, her eyes flashing with hope. "Elias," she called. "Now!" He vaulted a barricade, rebels covering him with plasma fire. Their rifles spat concentrated energy, bolts slamming into loyalist shields. Sparks rained, the air thick with ozone. Elias reached Celine, syringe ready. "This will stabilize you," he said, voice low. "Trust me." She nodded, baring her arm. The needle pierced her glowing vein, the antidote flowing. Her glow steadied, no longer erratic. Strength returned to her stance, her dagger gleaming. Elias's chest swelled, pride in humanity's grit, in bending alien science to his will. From Torin's view, the tide turned. Celine's recovery sparked the rebels, their fire fiercer. He lowered his lance, doubt winning. "She's right," he muttered, stepping back. His squad hesitated, loyalty fracturing. A technician in the crowd, inspired by Celine's speech, slipped to a control panel. Her fingers flew, overriding the palace's power grid. Lights dimmed, photon crystals fading. The disruptor sputtered out, its hum silenced. Rebels cheered, their shields raised, advancing on the throne room. Elias fell back, his job done for now. His thoughts raced, pride mingling with urgency. He'd saved her, but the fight was hers. Humanity's role was the spark. Celine was the flame. Darian's voice boomed from the throne room, amplified by hollow broadcast. "You defy me, daughter? You'll doom us all." Celine strode forward, rebels at her back. "No, Father. You doomed us. I'll save Valora." The hall shook with cheers and shouts. Loyalists drew weapons, but cracks spread in their ranks. Elias slipped to the shadows, his satchel lighter, but his resolve heavier. The antidote worked, but the Empire's lies still stood. He needed more data, proof, a way to expose Genesis to all 12 systems. A rebel grabbed his arm. "Dr. Silas says to follow. We're hitting the throne room." Elias nodded, falling in with the rebels. Their rifles hummed, shields flickering under stray plasma bolts. The palace was a battlefield now, its crystal beauty scarred by war. Celine led, her dagger raised, her glow a beacon in the chaos. Silence fell for a breath, the weight of her defiance sinking in. Elias gripped his sequencer, its data a weapon as potent as any rifle. Humanity's stubbornness had carried him this far. Now it would carry Celine to victory, or ruin. The grand hall of Lumen Palace erupted into chaos, plasma bolts tearing through the air like comets. Rebels, 200 strong, clashed with 300 loyalist troops, their kinetic shields flaring under concentrated energy fire. Each shield absorbed 80% of the impact, but sparks flew where bolts overwhelmed their limits, scorching marble floors. Celine led the charge, her ceremonial dagger gleaming, her veins pulsing with steady blue light. The antidote had stabilized her, and now she was a beacon, cutting through the fray toward the throne room. Elias ducked behind a shattered crystal pillar, his satchel clutched tight. The antidote syringe was empty, its work done, but his sequencer hummed with Genesis data, a truth that could end this war. Plasma rifles roared, their bolts searing the air with ozone. Rebels fired in disciplined bursts, their scavenged weapons outmatched but fueled by fury. Loyalists, in polished armor, pressed forward, their lances spitting precision shots. Celine vaulted a barricade, her silver gown torn, but her movements sharp. She slashed her dagger, disarming a guard with a flick of her wrist. "For Valora!" she shouted, her voice a clarion over the din. Rebels rallied, their shields forming a wall as they pushed deeper into the hall. Elias sprinted to her side, dodging a stray bolt that blackened the wall. "Celine, stay covered!" he yelled, but she was already moving, her glow a defiance of death itself. He injected a nanite booster into his arm, Earth tech sharpening his reflexes. His eyes scanned the chaos, calculating paths through the crossfire. From a loyalist soldier's perspective, the battle was a fracture of duty. Private Lear, young and bronze-skinned, gripped his lance, heart pounding. Celine's words echoed in his mind. The throne hides lies. He'd sworn to Darien, to tradition, but her glow burned with truth. He hesitated, his shot going wide, grazing a rebel's shield instead of killing. His squad leader barked, "Fire, damn you!" But Lear's resolve wavered, torn between Empire and Princess. Elias reached a downed drone, its optics shattered, but its comm array intact. He knelt, wiring his sequencer to its systems. Earth's black market hacks surged through, hijacking Valora's broadcast network. Across 12 star systems, holoscreens flickered, showing Genesis's logs, the royal experiment, the failed mutations, the deaths buried in lies. Elias's voice cut through, steady. "This is the truth. Your empire is built on a flaw. What should you?" The broadcast hit like a shockwave. Rebels cheered, their fire intensifying. Loyalists faltered, some lowering weapons, doubt spreading like wildfire. Celine pressed forward, her dagger flashing as she disarmed another guard. Her glow flared brighter, a symbol of survival and rebellion. In the throne room, Darian's face twisted, his hollow feed showing Elias's broadcast. He slammed a fist on the throne's armrest, activating a last-ditch defense. A pulse cannon hidden in the ceiling. Its barrel hummed, charging a blast capable of leveling the palace. "End this," he growled to his guards. "Now!" The cannon's hum grew, a low vibration shaking the hall. Rebels faltered, shields flickering under its pressure. Elias's sequencer pinged, detecting the fusion core powering the weapon. He shouted to Silas, the rebel technician, "The core's in the east wing. EMP it!" Silas nodded, her wiry frame darting through the chaos with a squad. They reached the east wing, a fortified chamber pulsing with energy. The fusion core glowed, a miniature sun behind alloy shielding. Silas pulled an EMP grenade, Earth-made, its pulse tuned to fry Valoran circuits. She hurled it, and the core sparked, its hum dying. The cannon fell silent, its threat snuffed out. Celine's voice rose, fierce and unbroken. "The throne's lies are done!" She charged the throne room doors, rebels at her back. Loyalists parted, some dropping weapons, Lear among them. His lance clattered to the floor, his choice made. Elias followed, his thoughts alight with humanity's grit. Earth's tech, its stubborn will, had turned the tide. He'd hacked their systems, armed their rebels, and saved their princess. Pride surged, not in himself, but in what humans could do when pushed. The throne room doors loomed, carved with serpents and stars. Celine kicked them open, her dagger raised. Darian stood alone, his guards wavering, the broadcast truth eroding their loyalty. The room's photon crystals pulsed erratically, as if sensing the Empire's fracture. Celine's inner resolve burned white-hot. She was no longer the frail princess, bound by tradition's chains. She was the revolution, her glow a testament to survival. "Father," she said, voice steady, "your time is over." Darian's eyes narrowed, but fear flickered. The cannon's failure, the broadcast, the rebels' surge, it was too much. He gripped the throne, his knuckles pale. "You'll ruin us, Celine." She stepped closer, dagger steady. "No, I'll save us." Elias slipped into the room, his sequencer still humming with data. The underground lab's secrets were his now, a weapon to finish this. He patched into the throne room's hollow system, projecting the final Genesis logs. Subjects screaming as their genes collapsed, royals hiding the truth to cling to power. The court gasped, nobles shifting uneasily. Silence fell, heavy as a dying star. Celine's glow pulsed, a heartbeat in the quiet. The rebels stood firm, their rifles trained but still, waiting for her word. Elias's chest tightened, the weight of the moment sinking in. Humanity had sparked this, but Selene would carry it. Lear, the loyalist soldier, stepped forward, his armor scuffed. "Princess," he said, voice low, "I'm with you." Others followed, their lances lowering, the tide turning. Darian's shoulders sagged, the fight draining from him. The Empire's lie was exposed, its power crumbling. Celine's dagger gleamed, but she didn't strike. Her victory was, in truth, not blood. Elias's sequencer beeped, its work done. He met Celine's gaze, a nod passing between them. The battle wasn't over, but the spark had caught. Valora would burn a rise, and they'd face it together. The throne room's photon crystals flickered, their once steady glow faltering as if mourning the Empire's fracture. Selene stood before Emperor Darian, her ceremonial dagger steady, its star-etched blade catching the dim light. Her veins pulse with a controlled blue glow, the antidote anchoring her strength. Rebels flanked her, their plasma rifles trained on the dwindling loyalist guards, now barely 50 strong. Elias hovered at the edge, his sequencer clutched tight, its data a final weapon against Valora's lies. Celine's voice cut through the silence, sharp as a plasma bolt. "Father, abdicate. Your lies have poisoned us long enough." Her silver gown was torn, but her stance was unyielding, a princess forged into a revolutionary. Darian leaned forward on the throne, his black velvet robes pooling like shadow, his face sharp and regal, cracked with defiance and something deeper, fear. "You're blind, Selene," he said, voice low but venomous. "I knew of Genesis. I hid it to protect our supremacy. Without it, Valora falls to chaos." The court gasped, nobles shifting in their balconies. Elias's sequencer hummed, projecting the final Genesis logs onto the throne room's holoscreen. Images flickered, ancient royals ordering experiments, subjects writhing as their genes collapsed, records buried to preserve the throne's myth. "This is your supremacy," Elias said, his voice steady, "a lie that kills your own." Darian's eyes flashed, but his guards wavered. Their kinetic shields, capable of absorbing 80% of plasma impacts, hung low, their resolve crumbling. From a court advisor's perspective, despair sank in. Lady Murren, her robes heavy with ritual ink, watched from the balcony, her loyalty to tradition unraveling. The human's truth was a blade, cutting through centuries of myth. She clutched her staff, whispering, "The old order dies." Selene stepped closer, her dagger unwavering. "You hid the truth to cling to power. Step down or I'll make you." Darian's hand twitched toward a concealed panel on the throne. A personal shuttle waited in a hidden bay, its engines primed for escape. Rebels had anticipated this. Silas, the wiry technician, had rigged an EMP trap in the bay. The shuttle systems sparked and died, its thrusters silenced. Darian froze, his escape cut off. Elias moved forward, his bioscanner glowing. He swept it over Selene, its readouts confirming the antidote's success. Her vitals stabilized, her glow no longer a death sentence but a symbol of survival. He projected the data to the court, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "She's cured. Genesis failed, but humanity didn't." The loyalists faltered. Only 50 remained, their plasma lances dipping as rebels pressed closer. Selene's speech rang out, fierce and clear. "Valora deserves truth. Join me, and we build anew." Neutral nobles, silent until now, nodded, their allegiance shifting. The tide turned, irreversible. From Marin's view, the throne room was a grave for tradition. She saw Celine's glow, her resolve, and felt the Empire's foundation crack. "She's right," Myron whispered, stepping down to join the rebels. Others followed, robes rustling, abandoning Darian's shadow. Darian's shoulders slumped, his fight fading. "You'll destroy us," he muttered, but his voice lacked force. He rose, slow and heavy, and stepped from the throne. Guards parted, their lances clattering to the floor. The Emperor was alone. Celine's inner pride burned, a fire forged through pain and defiance. No longer the frail princess, she was Valora's future, her survival a testament to change. She lowered her dagger, not out of mercy, but certainty. "Your reign ends," she said. "Mine begins." Elias's sequencer pinged, its final log decoded. Genesis wasn't just a failure. It was a control mechanism designed to bind Valora's population to the royal line's will. The mutation meant to strengthen could be triggered to weaken dissenters. Darian had known, using it to silence threats. Elias broadcast the truth, his voice echoing across the palace. This is what they hid. Control, not strength. The court roared, outrage drowning Darian's last protests. Rebels surged forward, securing the throne room. Silas hacked the palace's systems, locking down loyalist comms. The Emperor's guards surrendered, their shields powering down, their fight gone. Silence fell, heavy and final. The photon crystals dimmed, their light fading like a dying star. Celine stood before the throne, her glow steady, a beacon in the dark. Elias watched, his chest tight with pride. Not for himself, but for humanity's spark. Earth's grit had cracked an empire, and Celine's fire would reshape it. Darian was led away, his robes trailing like a fallen banner. Celine turned to the court, her voice resonant. "We rebuild, no more lies." Rebels cheered, their rifles raised, while nobles bowed, some reluctantly, others with hope. Elias slipped to the shadows, his work nearly done. His thoughts churned with humanity's role. Outsiders mocked as primitive, yet they'd turned the tide. The sequencer in his hand was a relic compared to Valor and tech, but it had seen what their crystals couldn't. He'd saved a princess, but she'd saved her people. Celine met his gaze, a nod passing between them. "You're not done, Doctor," she said, her voice soft but firm. "Valora needs you." He shook his head. "This is your fight now. I gave you the spark." The throne room stood scarred, its marble cracked, its crystals dim. Rebels secured the doors, their shields humming softly. The Empire's heart had stopped, but a new pulse began. Celine's glow lit the way, a promise of change. Elias's satchel felt lighter, the sequencer quiet. He'd exposed Genesis, armed the rebellion, and saved a life. Humanity's stubbornness had won, but Valora's future was Celine's to forge. He stepped back, ready to fade into the chaos, but her voice held him. "Stay until it's done," she said, "for Valora." He nodded, resolve hardening. The fight wasn't over, but the old order was. The Empire's light would shift, and he'd see it through. The throne room's dimmed photon crystals cast a soft glow, their light no longer a mask for lies, but a beacon for renewal. Celine stood before the empty throne, her silver gown tattered, but her stance unyielding. Her veins pulsed faintly. The antidotes were complete, her glow now a symbol of survival and change. Rebels secured the chamber, their plasma rifles lowered, while nobles whispered in the balconies, their loyalty shifting like sand. Elias stood at the edge, his sequencer silent, his role as spark fading into Celine's rising fire. She turned to the court, her voice steady. "I claim no crown, not yet. Valora will be governed by a council, chosen by its people, not blood." The words rippled, nobles exchanging glances, some nodding, others stiff with unease. Silas, the rebel technician, stepped forward, her wiry frame taut with purpose. "We'll make it happen, Princess. The systems are ours." Elias watched, his chest tight with quiet pride. Humanity's grit had cracked the Empire's facade, but Selene's vision would rebuild it. He slipped to a console, uploading the antidote's formula to Valora's medical network. The synthesizer hummed, already scaling production. Within days, 10,000 citizens with latent genetic flaws would be cured, their lives freed from Genesis's shadow. Earth's blunt tech had outdone Valora's elegance, and Elias felt a flicker of satisfaction. From a citizen's perspective, hope stirred in the palace's lower halls. Taryn, a young servant with bronze skin and calloused hands, watched hollow screens flicker with Selene's speech. Reforms promised equality, education, medicine, and voices for the lowborn. Taryn's heart lifted, her life of bowed heads and silent labor fading. "She sees us," Taryn whispered to her peers, their eyes bright with possibility. Selene moved to the throne room's center, her dagger sheathed. "Lumen Palace will no longer be a fortress of secrets," she declared. "It's a hub for healing, open to all." Rebels cheered, their shields clattering in approval. Technicians began rewiring the palace's systems, redirecting crystal energy to public labs. The underground chamber, once Genesis's grave, was sealed, its secrets broadcast to prevent future abuse. Elias approached, his satchel light, his work done. Selene met his gaze, her green eyes softened but resolute. "You could stay, Elias. Valora needs minds like yours." He shook his head, stubble catching the faint light. "Earth's my home. I came to save you, not rule." A faint smile touched his lips, a rare warmth. Selene's strength had drawn him, a quiet bond forged in battle. She returned the smile, a fleeting connection before duty reclaimed her. The court buzzed with plans. Silas coordinated with rebel leaders, drafting council elections across Valora's 12-star systems. Hollow messages poured in, colonies pledging support, their fleets standing down, inspired by Selene's broadcasted truth. The Empire's old order was gone, its unity now rooted in change, not control. Elias boarded a hyperspace shuttle, its engines humming as it prepped for the 3-light-year jump to Earth. He leaned back, the sequencer in his lap, its data a quiet victory. His thoughts drifted to humanity's role. Outsiders mocked as primitive, yet they'd reshaped a star empire. Earth's stubbornness, its relentless push against the impossible, had sparked this. He felt no pride in himself, only in what humans could do when pressed. Selene's final speech echoed in his mind, replayed on the shuttle's holoscreen. She stood before the council, her glow a steady pulse, her voice carrying across systems. "Change is our strength," she said, her words deliberate. "Valora hid from it, and it nearly broke us. I nearly died to tradition's lies, but I stand here because we dared to question, to fight. This empire will honor its past, but forge a future where no one is bound by blood or secrets. We are Valora, and we rise together." Her words sank deep, a reflection of her journey. Selene's inner peace settled like stars after a storm. No longer the frail princess, she was a leader forged in pain, her survival a testament to defiance. She'd feared death, doubted her strength, but now she stood tall, her glow a promise kept. Valora would heal, its people unbound, because she'd faced the fire and emerged whole. Elias's shuttle jumped, stars blurring into streaks. He closed his eyes, the hum of the engines a quiet lullaby. Selene's words lingered, her resolve a mirror to his own. He'd arrived on Valora as a geneticist, uncertain and out of place, but left as a catalyst, his doubt burned away by action. Humanity's spark had lit a revolution, and he carried that truth back to Earth. In Lumen Palace, Selene walked the halls, now open to citizens. The photon crystals glowed anew, their light shared, not hoarded. Taryn and others worked beside nobles, rebuilding systems, their voices heard. The Empire's 12 systems sent delegates, their reforms a ripple becoming a wave. Celine paused by a window, stars sprawling beyond. Her thoughts turned inward, a quiet moment amid the chaos. She'd been a pawn, then a rebel, now a leader. The glow in her veins, once a death sentence, was her badge of survival. She'd faced an empire's lies and won, not with blades, but truth. Peace settled, a certainty that Valora would endure. Elias's shuttle docked on Earth, Chicago's sprawl, a familiar chaos below. He stepped out, the sequencer tucked away, its work done. Valora's stars faded behind him, but their light lingered in his mind. Humanity had proven itself, not as conquerors but as sparks in the dark. Celine's council convened, their first act a decree, no more secrets. The Empire's future was hers to shape, and she'd do it with open hands. The stars watched and Valora rose anew.